Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night, needing to go to the bathroom for what feels like the 10th time, leaving you tired and frustrated the next morning? Or perhaps you found yourself planning your day around where the nearest restroom might be. Just in case, it's a reality many of us face as we get older, and it can truly impact our quality of life. Making those simple joys of a long walk, a road trip, or even just a peaceful night's sleep feel out of reach. We often just accept these changes as an unavoidable part of aging. But what if I told you there's a surprising secret, something many urologists are now warning about, that could be making things much, much worse? Something as simple as what you put on your plate in this video. We're going to dive deep into 5 common foods that, especially after the age of 60, can really irritate your bladder, strain your kidneys, and potentially lead to more frequent trips to the bathroom, discomfort, and even more serious issues down the line. We'll uncover these surprising culprits and give you simple, easy ways to make better choices. Watch to the end for something that will truly surprise you and could be a game changer for your urinary health and overall well-being. Let's start with the first food. A big one that's probably a staple in many of our diets: highly processed foods, especially those packed with artificial ingredients, unhealthy fats, and excessive sugars. Think about those ready meals you grab for convenience, the snacks that come in a brightly colored packet promising instant satisfaction, or even some of the baked goods that line our supermarket shelves. These aren't just empty calories. They're often a cocktail of substances that can wreak havoc on your urinary system. When we consume foods loaded with artificial colors, preservatives, and flavors, our bodies have to work overtime to process them. These additives aren't natural, and for some people, especially as we age and our systems become a little more sensitive, they can act as direct irritants to the bladder lining. Imagine your bladder as a delicate balloon. These harsh chemicals can make it feel inflamed and overactive, leading to that urgent, frequent sensation that sends you rushing to the loo far more often than you'd like. Beyond direct irritation, these foods contribute to systemic inflammation throughout your body. Chronic inflammation is a silent enemy, and it doesn't just affect your joints or your heart. It can impact the delicate tissues of your kidneys and bladder, making them more vulnerable to infection and dysfunction. Moreover, many processed foods are high in unhealthy fats like trans fats and excessive refined sugars. These contribute to weight gain, and extra weight puts added pressure on your bladder, making it harder for it to function optimally. It's like trying to squeeze a balloon while it's already full and under pressure. This pressure can weaken your pelvic floor muscles over time and lead to a more overactive bladder. What's more, the high sugar content in these foods can feed harmful bacteria in your body, potentially increasing the risk of urinary tract infections, which are already more common in older adults. Think about it: a slice of white bread, often stripped of its natural fibers and enriched with artificial vitamins, compared to a slice of whole grain sourdough. The sourdough still has its natural nutrients and fiber, helping your digestive system and not causing the same blood sugar spikes that can indirectly affect your urinary health. Or consider a bag of crisps versus a handful of unsalted nuts. The crisps are loaded with unhealthy fats and salt, both problematic for your urinary system, while the nuts offer healthy fats and protein without the added irritation. The key here is to read labels carefully. If you see a long list of ingredients you can't pronounce, or if sugar is one of the first few ingredients, it's a big red flag. Choose fresh, whole foods as much as possible. Instead of that ready-made meal, try cooking a simple, wholesome dinner with fresh vegetables and lean protein. Swap out sugary biscuits for a piece of fruit. These small changes might seem insignificant, but over time, they make a world of difference, not just for your urinary health, but for your overall vitality. Now, moving on to something many of us rely on to kickstart our mornings or get through that afternoon slump: excessive caffeine. Now that we've discussed how processed foods can be a hidden menace, let's talk about something many of us cherish. Perhaps a little too much caffeine. That morning cup of coffee, the afternoon tea, or even some energy drinks can feel like a lifeline. But for your bladder, they can be anything but. Caffeine is a powerful diuretic, which means it makes your kidneys produce more urine. You might think, well, that's just making me flush out my system. Right. And yes, it does. But for many people over 60, this increased urine production can lead to a significant increase in urgency and frequency, sometimes even incontinence. Your bladder doesn't get enough time to fill up comfortably before it signals that it needs to empty. And often, it's a very strong, sudden urge. Think about a time you've had a few cups of coffee and then found yourself needing to run to the bathroom every half hour. That's your bladder reacting to the caffeine. It's not just the volume of urine, either. Caffeine is also a known bladder irritant. It can stimulate the bladder muscle, causing it to contract more frequently and often more forcefully, even when it's not particularly full. This constant stimulation can lead to an overactive bladder, making symptoms like urgency, frequency, and nocturia, those annoying nighttime bathroom trips, much worse. It's a double whammy: more urine being produced and a bladder that's more sensitive and reactive to it. Consider the type of caffeine too. A strong espresso can be more concentrated than a weaker filter coffee, and the impact can vary from person to person. Energy drinks are often even worse, loaded not just with high levels of caffeine, but also artificial sweeteners and other additives we discussed earlier, making them a triple threat to your urinary health. While you might not need to give up your morning ritual entirely, moderation is absolutely key. Instead of 3 large cups of coffee throughout the day, try cutting back to 1 in the morning. If you love the warmth of a hot drink, consider switching to decaffeinated coffee or herbal teas. Green tea does contain some caffeine, but often less than coffee, and it also contains beneficial antioxidants. However, if you're experiencing significant bladder issues, even green tea might be something to try reducing. Sometimes, just swapping out 1 caffeinated drink for a glass of water can make a noticeable difference in how your bladder feels by the end of the day. It's about listening to your body and finding that balance where you still enjoy your comforts without compromising your comfort. Now, let's spice things up. Or rather, talk about why we might want to cool things down when it comes to the next food category: spicy foods. So, we've navigated the tricky waters of processed foods and the stimulating effects of caffeine. Now, let's turn our attention to something that adds a kick to our meals: spicy foods. While many of us enjoy the fiery flavor of a good curry, a hot salsa, or chili peppers, these can be a real headache. Or rather, a real bladder ache. For some people, especially as we age, the compounds that give spicy foods their heat, like capsaicin found in chili peppers, aren't just perceived as heat by our taste buds. They can also irritate the lining of our digestive system and, crucially, our bladder. When these irritants are absorbed into the bloodstream and then processed by your kidneys, they eventually end up in your urine, where they come into direct contact with your bladder wall. For a younger, more resilient bladder, this might not be a big deal, but as we get older, the bladder lining can become more sensitive and less tolerant to irritants. What might have been a harmless kick in your younger years can now lead to increased bladder urgency, frequency, and even a burning sensation during urination for some individuals. It's similar to how some people find very acidic foods, like citrus or tomatoes, can bother their bladder. It's all about irritation. Imagine a small cut on your hand. If you put something irritating on it, it stings. Your bladder lining, when sensitive or inflamed, can react in a similar way to certain compounds in spicy foods. This doesn't mean you have to give up flavor entirely. There are plenty of delicious herbs and spices that don't carry the same bladder-irritating heat. Think of ginger, turmeric, rosemary, thyme, or oregano. These can add wonderful depth to your cooking without the potential discomfort. It's all about finding alternatives that satisfy your taste buds without upsetting your urinary tract. You might notice that after a particularly spicy meal, you're up more often during the night or feel an uncomfortable sensation. This is your body telling you that perhaps that specific food isn't quite agreeing with your bladder. Experiment with reducing the amount of spice you use, or try milder versions of your favorite dishes. For instance, instead of a fiery vindaloo, opt for a creamy korma or a fragrant biryani. Small adjustments can make a big difference in how your bladder feels day to day. Now, let's shift our focus from the heat on your plate to something a bit more insidious: high-sodium foods. We all know too much salt isn't great for blood pressure, but its impact on your urinary system, especially after 60, is often overlooked. When you consume too much sodium, your body tries to balance the concentration of salt by retaining more water. This leads to increased fluid retention, which puts extra strain on your kidneys. Your kidneys are amazing filters, but they have to work harder to process and excrete all that excess fluid and sodium. This increased workload can, over time, impact kidney function and contribute to higher blood pressure, which in turn can further stress the delicate blood vessels in your kidneys. Furthermore, this increased fluid in your body means more urine production, which again leads to more frequent trips to the bathroom, both day and night. Think about processed meats like bacon, sausages, and deli meats, or canned soups, frozen dinners, and even seemingly innocent packaged snacks like crackers and bread. Many of these are surprisingly high in sodium. Even restaurant meals can be packed with hidden salt. To give you a practical example, consider comparing a home-cooked chicken breast with herbs to a prepackaged, seasoned chicken nugget. The nugget often has significantly more sodium. Or instead of canned soup, try making your own broth from scratch, which allows you to control the salt content completely. The easiest way to reduce sodium is to cook more meals at home where you have full control over the ingredients. Use herbs, spices, and lemon juice to flavor your food instead of relying heavily on salt. Opt for fresh vegetables and lean proteins. And when buying packaged goods, always check the nutrition label for sodium content. Look for low sodium or no added salt options. Reducing your sodium intake won't just benefit your blood pressure. It will also ease the burden on your kidneys and potentially reduce your urinary frequency, allowing for more undisturbed nights and more comfortable days. Finally, let's delve into something that many people turn to thinking it's a healthier alternative, but can actually be quite detrimental to your bladder: artificial sweeteners. So, we've covered the hidden dangers of highly processed foods, the stimulating effects of too much caffeine, the irritating kick of spicy dishes, and the fluid-retaining impact of excessive sodium. Now, for our fifth and final food culprit, one that often sneaks into our diets under the guise of health: artificial sweeteners. Many of us reach for diet drinks or sugar-free snacks, thinking we're making a healthier choice, especially if we're trying to manage blood sugar or weight. However, these artificial compounds like aspartame, sucralose, and saccharin, commonly found in diet sodas, sugar-free candies, and many processed foods, can be significant bladder irritants for a surprising number of people over 60. Just like with spicy foods, these synthetic sweeteners are foreign to our bodies. When they're processed and eventually make their way into your urine, they can directly irritate the sensitive lining of your bladder. This irritation can manifest as increased urgency, frequency, and discomfort, mimicking the symptoms of an overactive bladder or even a mild bladder infection. Even when no infection is present, imagine trying to soothe an already sensitive bladder and then pouring a liquid through it that contains these irritating chemicals. It's not going to feel good. For many, simply cutting out diet sodas and sugar-free chewing gum can bring a remarkable improvement in bladder symptoms within a matter of days or weeks. This isn't just anecdotal. Urologists often recommend eliminating artificial sweeteners as a first step for patients experiencing bladder irritation before exploring other treatments. Consider the common scenario: you switch from regular soda to diet soda, thinking you're doing your body a favor. But if you then find yourself needing to use the bathroom more often, especially feeling that urgent need, The artificial sweeteners in that diet soda could very well be the hidden culprit. It's a tricky one because they are so prevalent in our food supply. The best approach is to swap these artificially sweetened products for natural, unsweetened alternatives instead of diet soda. Try plain water, sparkling water with a splash of fruit juice, or unsweetened herbal tea. If you crave sweetness, opt for natural sources like a small amount of honey, maple syrup, or fresh fruit. A piece of an orange or a few berries can satisfy that sweet tooth without introducing irritating chemicals to your bladder. It's about retraining your palate and reducing your reliance on intense, artificial sweetness. Embracing these more natural options not only benefits your bladder, but also supports your overall health. From gut microbiome balance to better blood sugar control. So, there you have it. 5 common foods that, for many of us over 60, can quietly undermine our urinary health and contribute to those inconvenient, uncomfortable bladder issues. We've talked about how highly processed foods, packed with artificial ingredients, sugars, and unhealthy fats, can cause inflammation and directly irritate your bladder. Then there's excessive caffeine, a diuretic and a bladder stimulant that can ramp up urgency and frequency. We also looked at spicy foods, with their irritating compounds like capsaicin, which can make your bladder feel anything but calm. And let's not forget high-sodium foods, which can lead to fluid retention, putting extra strain on your kidneys and increasing urine production. Finally, those seemingly innocent artificial sweeteners, often found in diet products, can be sneaky bladder irritants that many people don't even consider. Remember, making small, gradual changes to your diet can make a profound difference to your health and happiness, especially as you navigate these golden years. You don't have to overhaul your entire eating routine overnight. Start by choosing 1 or 2 of these foods that you consume regularly and try to reduce or replace them with more bladder-friendly options. Listen to your body. It often gives you subtle clues about what's working and what isn't. By being mindful of what you eat, you're taking powerful steps toward reclaiming your comfort, improving your sleep, and enjoying life without the constant worry of finding the nearest restroom. We all deserve to live our lives to the fullest, and something as fundamental as bladder health plays a huge role in that. I'd love to hear from you. Have you noticed any of these foods affecting your bladder or kidney health? Share your experiences and any tips you found helpful in the comments below. Your insights could truly help someone else in our community. If you found this information valuable, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more helpful content designed to help you thrive at every age. Thank you for watching. And remember, live your best life at every age.